Let's talk about posing your model, because the pose can make a huge difference, similarly like with posing human models. Look at these two pictures, both unedited. Same horse, same light, and what a difference. And same here. We are aiming for presenting our models at their best. We are looking for roundness, balance, beautiful neck, and good proportions. Let's see a few examples. Full front shots. These are very tricky, and rarely are they flattering for the horse. Full frontals show the horse without a neck, with a shapeless body, and very often with protruding belly. There are only a couple situations where full front shot is desirable, and these are mostly close-ups of the head. Side shots. These are always a safe option because of minimal distortion. You can have a side shot with a stretched neck, or with the neck turned slightly, or with a turned head when the horse is looking at the camera, or with the whole neck bent backwards. Three-quarters. Three-quarter shots are the best in terms of aesthetics. They are giving loads of possibilities. When shooting three-quarters, try to encourage your horse to round his neck, to lower his head a little, because we don't want the head towering above the horse's body. When the horse stands at an angle to us, we can ask for many different poses. Strike head, classical pose, just remember to ask the horse for rounding his neck a little, otherwise the neck will seem hollow. Head turned slightly, or more, in the direction of the camera. Here you can see three-quarters of the horse's body and three-quarters of the horse's head on the other side. Head and neck turned backwards. Here you can see three-quarters of the horse's body and profile of his head on the other side. Or head and neck turned from us. 1/4. This is when the horse is standing at the angle to the camera, but with his rump closer to the camera and his head further. Ask the horse for turning his head. From behind. This is another tricky pose. Be careful here to avoid the impression of the neck growing from the horse's rump. It's always good to show a bit of horse's body, a hint of the shoulder or the side. Over the back. This is basically a close-up to the horse's head and eyes. You can use a shallow depth of field here. When you shoot a portrait, your vantage point should be at the height of the horse's eyes, so ideally it would be somewhere on the height of horse's withers. You should be a little higher when shooting over the back, otherwise you won't see the horse's eye. When you are shooting a pose like this, you should go much lower, staying at the level of the horse's eye. So how to persuade a horse to pose for you like you want? Well, there are different methods. There isn't one best method here. Every horse is different, and be prepared to use many tricks, like a carrot on the stick, plastic bags, toys of all kinds, or sounds of all kinds. If you see a picture which seems that everything has been done okay, and yet something is off, it's probably composition. Guys, it's so important. A beautiful edit can be ruined totally with bad composition. At some point, most of you will start to instinctively recognize good composition, and you'll be achieving it without even thinking. Before that stage, though, keep to the simple rules. You don't have to follow them to the dot, just bear them in mind when composing your final images. So often, I can hear or read the "screw the rules" or "break the rules" comments. So-called rules are not the regulations that someone established for you. They are rather what was observed through the ages of fine art, what made good art into great art, and a composition pleasant to look at. So before you break the rules, get to know what you're breaking. Before start thinking outside the box, find out what is inside this box. Picasso learned to paint like this. Yes, this is early Picasso. Before, he started painting like this. This is the example of Mondrian evolution, how he started to end like this. And this is early Van Gogh, before he started painting like this. Know the rules before starting breaking them. Use standard formats when cropping. Standard formats are more pleasant to the eye. They also make printing much easier. Try to stick to proportions like 1:1, 3:4, 2:3, 9:16, 1:2. My professor at the Academy of Fine Arts used to say, symmetry is the aesthetics of idiots. It is not always true, but try to avoid placing your focal point, which means the main point of interest of your image, and your subject in the middle of the frame. Give your subject some space, some breathing air in the direction where he's looking. Avoid so-called dead space. Here you have an example of dead space. The horse is cropped tight from both sides, and there's a lot of unneeded space above him. This doesn't add anything to the image. But if we crop this image like this, we have a lot of space on the side, but it's not a dead space anymore because it opens a space where the horse is looking. Don't divide in halves. Rule of thirds is the easiest way to end up with a good composition. If you are unsure how to crop, stick to the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds means that the image is divided into 9 equal areas by 2 vertical and 2 horizontal lines. Your focal point, the main point of interest in the image, should be placed somewhere near where the lines are crossing. Most cameras can help you with this. You can set the grid to be visible in your viewfinder and on your live view screen. This way you will always know, when shooting, where exactly your subject is in relation to the rule of thirds grid. You have to enable this option in your menu. Again, in different brands, it is probably in different places in the menu. Here you have an example from my Canon R5. Don't be like a butcher and don't crop through joints, or some other places where something ends or begins. When cropping to a head close-up, don't crop through the place where the ears begin or the nostrils begin. You'd rather crop like this, or like this. Avoid tangents. What are tangents? Tangents are where two lines just touch each other without overlapping. They may be created by two objects touching each other, or by an object touching the image side, the image frame. They are visually awkward, so they draw unneeded attention. I have a good advice for you how to check if your composition looks good. Display it relatively small on your screen, then squint and look at it with half-closed eyes, so you see your image blurred, and then you don't notice details, only the main shapes, and you can judge composition better this way. There's much more to learn about composition. What I gave you here was just a short glance focused on black background portraits.